They chased one goal relentlessly.
Brian was a very determined individual, very smart.
He wanted to see how far he could take it.
If it repulsed you, that was just as good as if it made you happy.
Through struggles.
I think what led to him becoming Marilyn Manson was probably Heritage Christian School.
And setbacks.
Everybody hated us. Nobody wanted to sign us.
Some people are just driven.
Someday I want to grow up to be a rock star.
A quiet kid who didn't fit in reinvents himself as America's most feared shock rocker.
He was just a normal, sweet child.
I'm going to punch you in the teeth.
There would be nudity.
Girls in cages.
You know, he cut himself open pretty good sometimes.
Never before seen images and revelations from the people who know what really happened, because they lived it with him.
People are getting totally the wrong message here about Brian.
This is The Rise and Rise of Marilyn Manson.
Brian was born in January of 1969. He was a very quiet little boy, a lot like his mother. I think he looks a lot like his father, but I see a lot of his mother's shyness in him. He was the type of child that if he walked into a room and there were a lot of people, he would hide behind his mother and then slowly come out. If someone had said to me that one of these children is going to be a famous rock star, Brian would have been the last one I would have chosen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marilyn Manson.
He grew up in Canton, Ohio.
It's in the Midwest, so it's a fairly conservative town.
Canton's kind of a boring little town. There's not a whole lot. Football is big.
We have the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's our big claim to fame.
When I first met Brian, he was pretty small. He kind of freckly-faced kid, brown hair, pretty scrawny.
I know he got made fun of a lot. I guess it was what they call a nerd.
Brian and I played Midget League football in 1981 for the Spartans. I was number 28, Brian was number 41. Brian was a receiver. As a receiver, you wouldn't get much action.
He never really liked this whole sports thing.
Brian didn't really have a lot of friends. He wouldn't leave the house all too often. He stayed at home a lot, watched TV, would draw, would write.
His grandpa and grandmother on his mother's side lived right next door to him in the duplex, so he got a lot of attention from his family.
He was an only child.
So he got pretty much whatever he wanted.
Brian's mom was very sweet, very wonderful, excellent mother, little June, Cleaver there, but hipper.
He was raised on, cartoons and cereal and Coca-Cola, the Smurfs.
Brian's main motivations were probably just entertainment.
We used to create these characters out of clay, but we'd put all of the body parts inside. And our big project then is to operate on them and take all the organs out and change them. And that was a big one for a while.
Brian had a very active imagination.
It's basic kid stuff that, we'd be fascinated with, like, burps, any kind of, bowel movements, anything to that effect.
I remember him telling me that he really liked eating Superman ice cream. It had, I guess that kind of ice cream had a lot of different colors in it or something, because he said when he went to the bathroom, everything came out purple, and he just thought that was pretty cool.
Brian started Heritage Christian in 2nd grade, and he went through the 10th grade.
It was a typical parochial school. It was private.
And the school was very right-wing conservative, had a lot of Baptist upbringing and teachings. We had Bible class once a day, and then weekly we had chapel.
They would bring in different speakers or some local ministers or something.
Definitely was a lot of fear factor, was definitely hell, fire, and brimstone.
The speakers were pretty much targeted to try and convince us of like the evil ways of the outside world. There was a lot of evangelical type language. Come down front, stand up in front of your peers and show them you're not afraid. Brian has such a thirst for knowledge. He stood out because of his sense of humor and because of his audacity at times. A few times when he would try to participate, bring up a topic in class, he just gets shot down immediately. And I could tell that really bothered him.
Brian definitely liked to push people's buttons. He was witty and fun, but always right on the edge of going too far.
In his Bible study class, he'd share with me that he'd write 666 and things like that on the book. It's not like he worshiped the devil, but he'd write things on there just to get a rise out of those teachers, and it worked.
Being a 13-year-old kid and having someone tell you on a daily basis that this is the final hour and that the Antichrist was coming and it was going to be the end of the world. And then finally, when 1984 passed and all these years that they said was going to be the end, I developed a real hard shell you know, that really became what Marilyn Manson is. And in one way, as a payback, I have become what I was afraid of. So it's their fear and their terror that really has made me, so they have no one to thank but themselves.
Well, we were really into Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine because we loved that sense of humor. And so we decided to do our own magazine and sell it to kids at school who didn't have much access to that kind of stuff. And by the end of the day, he had been called into the principal's office, gotten spanked. He'd never second-guessed himself, just incredibly driven as far as if there's something he wants to do, he goes after it.
Brian was never into anything halfway. He pushes everything he can to the limit. Dungeons & Dragons was definitely Brian's biggest interest.
Everything about Dungeons & Dragons we had to know and devour.
We spent, maybe like a week straight one time playing. I mean, we took breaks to go home and go to sleep and eat meals, and then we'd come back first thing in the morning and start playing again. His parents, bought him hundreds and hundreds of pewter miniatures, and he would hand paint all of those. He was so creative when we would play. He would always add some spin to it above and beyond what the rules were in the book.
We started to get rhetoric coming out of some of the teachers and in chapel about how Dungeons & Dragons could lead to all sorts of depravity. And so that's when there was a really sharp clampdown on some of the activities that the students were doing.
We actually had to sign a contract, an agreement, that we wouldn't drink, we wouldn't do drugs, we wouldn't cuss, we wouldn't listen to rock and roll music. And they spent an awful lot of time trying to teach the kids not about religion, but instead about why rock music is going to rot your brain.
Yeah, Brian liked hard rock music, so right away he was the devil.
We listened to a lot of the larger-than-life bands at that time. Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, and Judas Priest. He was a huge Kiss fan. His father and mother took him to concerts even. His dad even got dressed up with him a few times in all the makeup. He had every Kiss record, every Kiss makeup kit, radio, you name it.
Brian would paint his face up like the members of Kiss and come to the house, and then he'd ask for himself. And we thought that he was one of the members of Kiss asking for him, like he was really important. He'd have the little blood capsule in his mouth and he'd break it, and he was really into that kind of thing.
He seemed to draw energy from the dark side of the music.
He drew an Iron Maiden album cover on the concrete wall in chalk.
He had that above his bed. He had this big drawing there, this picture of this creature thing.
A good artist, it was very detailed.
It was creepy.
Brian was so big on MTV when it first came out. He was the first kid on the block that had it.
And I remember in particular a video of David Bowie's Ashes to Ashes that really had an effect on Brian. The atmosphere and sensibility of it just really piqued a curiosity that, wow, we don't have to sit around the table with Dungeons & Dragons in our imaginations. We can actually create these things visually. It was just fascinating. In about the 8th or 9th grade, we're getting more and more into our own imaginations, even more isolated from the people around us. They were all making decisions to make religion and Christianity a big part of their lives.
If you wore your Bible on your sleeve, you got great grades. In this very restricted place, you were better off to kind of fake your existence than you were to show your real existence.
Once he became aware that people were offended by a lot of the things he was interested in, it became more of a challenge.
Brian tended to lash out against the hypocrisy that he saw there at the school.
Our major goal at that time then was to find ways to get out of there.
You didn't fit in with Wild Heritage Christian School?
I remember him many times talking to his parents, like wanting to go to public school. I have to get out of there. A couple months into 10th grade, Brian ended up leaving, and his parents sent him to the local high school nearby.
When he came to Glen Oak, he was at a disadvantage because, all the other kids had grown up and had gone through all these classes at all the other schools together. So he was kind of odd man out.
I think he always felt like he was a little different.
He never associated himself with any certain group.
He didn't neatly fit into any of the stereotypes that we know of from those years in high school, being a burnout or a jock.
I think Brian had trouble relating to the other kids because I think he was more intelligent.
He really started to excel in his writing classes. He He was a bit of a Renaissance man. I mean, he dabbled in a lot of things. Poetry, he painted, he drew.
There was a drawing that was kind of scary looking, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe they printed it in the yearbook on the same page with the apples and the koala bear. It just didn't fit. It just looked somewhat satanic.
What I remember most about Brian, I guess, is his year-round tan.
Dermatologist recommended that he use a tanning bed because it helped dry up his complexion.
He was insecure about his face.
He'd primp a lot with his hair. It was the big thing about his hair. His hair had to look good.
He was really kind of obsessed with the way he looked.
His parents were real easygoing. You would go to his house and there was no rules whatsoever. His mom used to take us to the drive-thru and buy us beer.
Her opinion was, you're going to get your hands on it anyways. I'd rather that you were supervised while you're drinking than out there getting into trouble and maybe getting arrested by the cops.
His parents basically let him do whatever he wanted. His dad was pretty comical.
Well, Uncle Huey, he's got a warped personality. He'll say anything he can to shock you.
Whenever some of our friends would come around and meet Brian's dad for the first time, he always had a trick, perverted question he would ask you.
He'd look at you and just say, so, have you ever tasted a better pecker than mine?
Either way you answered, you lost.
Anything to shock you. That's kind of the way Brian is.
He moved away the summer we graduated from high school.
His father got a job offer down in Florida.
Everybody knows Ohio's 10 years behind the times. So I think when he got to Florida, he did have a little bit of culture shock.
His plans were to go to college there for journalism.
He was a good writer. I think a big part of being a good writer is feeling it or having a love for it, and unquestionably he had that. Brian's niche was to write entertainment stories.
He really concentrated on the progressive scene in South Florida, all of the local bands.
I would have liked him to get more involved with the student newspaper, but I knew that he was writing for one of the local papers.
25th Parallel was an arts and entertainment magazine that was geared primarily towards South Florida, sort of an alternative press kind of thing. He came to the interview and he had a lunchbox with him. Well, in the world I come from, people don't carry lunchboxes when they're in college. He would come up with these ideas for articles interviewing dominatrixes or waitresses who worked at topless restaurants. He had a real head for that sort of stuff. And as he improved, he moved on to things like celebrity interviews. He did an interview with Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails. He was just so enthused about meeting this person. At that time, his ultimate dream was to be Trent Reznor. And he was just so thrilled. Oh, I got along so well with him. Oh, yeah, we're best buddies. And I'm thinking in my mind, you know, I'm willing to bet money that Trent Reznor won't remember you like a week later.
He started writing a lot more poetry at that time.
It was sort of bleak, unfriendly.
Humorous with a dark undertone.
Punk rock without the sense of humor. They had open mic nights for poetry reading.
First time I saw Brian do an open mic, I heard him say, you know, I wrapped our love in foil, and so it wouldn't spoil, but flies will lay their eggs. Pretty heavy.
I think that just writing prose and poetry as expressions were not getting him the attention he wanted or expected.
Writers don't get instant gratification the way musicians do. That kind of got to him.
Let's be honest, you know, poetry doesn't come in as sexy a package as rock lyrics. The best way to get his attention is to do it within rock.
A lot of the bands that he interviewed, they had something that people wanted to talk about.
Just kind of realized, hey, I've got as much talent and I've got things I want to say. Why am I on this side of the pencil? I think is what he started asking himself.
He came to me and he said, I'm going to start a band. I remember my reaction was, you got to be kidding.
He didn't play any instruments and wasn't musically inclined.
The reason why I started music in general was because I was a writer and I felt there wasn't something like Marilyn Manson out there. And I wanted it to exist, so I had to create it.
Before he became a rock star, Brian Warner changed his name to Marilyn Manson, taking one half from the Hollywood actress Marilyn Monroe and the other half from the satanic cult leader Charles Manson.
The very first thing was deciding that the two words Marilyn and Manson really summed up American culture in 2 words.
I was the other half. I was musically inclined, so I needed a partner, basically. We would just talk on the phone and talk about crazy ideas as far as pop culture and serial killers and drugs and Saturday morning cartoons when we were kids. And we just started forming ideas as to like what kind of songs we would write, how we would dress. All the ideas came about before any of the music, and some were just really wrong. And each one would have something offensive to somebody.
He knew about self-promotion. He knew how to package it. At that time, I don't think he really cared too much about the product. He just wanted to sell it. He had asked if 25th Parallel could run an article about this band, Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, and I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I thought it was a little bit weird. Have you played anywhere yet? Well, no. Do you have a demo tape yet? Well, no. Yeah, sure, what the hell, go ahead. And we got an intern to interview him, and he asked me if he could rewrite it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, have fun. Go ahead, make yourself look good. It was the first piece of press the Spooky Kids ever had.
It's hard to get a two-page full story, you know, about a band that's never even played a show.
He had written something along the lines of Marilyn Manson is going to take over the world, and they don't care who they have to trample underfoot to get there. Pretty heady stuff, considering that they hadn't played a note at that time.
I remember we were going to a creative writing class, and he just told me, like, I don't think I'm going to come back. I want to do the band. He just quit and never really looked back.
I first ran into Brian Warner in the local music scene in South Florida. I heard about this crazy new band called Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids.
I was at their very first show at Churchill's, and they didn't even have a drummer then. I mean, they had a drum machine on a stool.
There was probably between 20 and 30 people.
And this tall, skinny, geeky kid singing.
And I just remember feeling embarrassed for him because he didn't make eye contact with the audience.
He hid behind the microphone a little bit.
He really had no image at that point.
People were like, the hell is this?
Half the time he'd be in the back throwing up because he definitely had some major stage fright. You know, we didn't even know if he'd be able to perform. It's kind of hard to sing when you have throw up in your throat.
They had this kid playing bass. His name was Brian Tunic.
Tunic really didn't have that much to do with what we did. I mean, he played our first 2 shows with us. That's it. So we needed a bass player.
We used to see each other out at clubs a lot. So right off the bat, he knew I was, this young, loud, and snotty punk kid that was just trouble. But he liked that. So he decided, he should get me in the band with him. Me and him just became really good friends.
Brad really influenced Brian's appearance.
I looked like a cross between Divine from the John Waters films and Sid Vicious. He latched onto that, started asking me for makeup tips, started dressing like me, and he really kind of took my image and evolved it into his thing.
It was all accredited to Brian because he was the one selling it.
He was probably one of the better, if not the best, self-promoters in Florida.
I used to see Brian outside every major show. You'd see him out there with flyers that he personally made, handing them out to people. Trent Reznor and a lot of people picked up on what the band was doing.
Trent said, "It's really interesting. What the is playing drums?" Lo and behold, July 4th, we're opening for 9 Inch Nails. There's just 4 of us, and one of us is just crawling around the stage. We don't have our together at all.
The first time that I met Brian, my band Genitorturers was playing, and we found out that our opening act for the night was the Spooky Kids. And I remember looking out on stage, and he was lighting his lunchbox on fire. Instantly, we became friends. Their performance at that time really was very cartoon-like.
His only shtick back then was just dressing crazy and having really inane props on stage.
I just remember really being struck by the Sid and Marty Krofft feel of everything. They had the striped socks, blue fingernails. They carried their Lidsville lunchboxes.
People thought we were creepy and kind of kooky, but that was just our influences. We grew up watching cartoons, and Willy Wonka.
They took everything from your childhood that you remember from the 70s and brought it into a big nightmare. It was just a real trip.
He had an unbelievable following. He used to have these young girls with their lunch boxes at every one of his shows.
A lot of girls with blue fingernail polish, with strawberry shortcake lunchboxes, just following them around everywhere. Brian's parents, they're very supportive, showed up to his shows wearing t-shirts with his picture on it.
His dad was great. I remember one of the shows, he was walking around with a priest collar, and he was just so proud.
When we started becoming more popular, he started getting better-looking girlfriends.
He really loved the attention because I think he lacked getting attention before when he looked, like a regular Joe.
Halloween is just around the corner, and as a special treat, I thought we'd meet some spooky kids.
I hosted a local music show on the local rock station. There was a big buzz about the band, and I wanted to get them on the show. And he gave me a cassette, and it had 4 songs on it. So I was listening to it, and then I got to My Monkey, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, wow, that's the one. I got to play this song. I was kind of waiting for some complaint calls to come in, and I never got one. All I got was, what was that? Who was that? Play that again. Brian was a very serious and determined individual, very smart.
He knew to get where he wanted to go, he had to be professional. Even when he was planning an outrageous stunt, he needed to do it right in order to get the full impact.
He asked me to videotape their shows. He would study them and, see what went right, what went wrong. So I videotaped a lot of strange shows.
As we watched him and the band evolve, I watched it evolved into darker and darker regions.
They would do things with chicken feet strung across the stage, to girls in cages dripping, chocolate sauce off their breasts.
There would be nudity, body piercing, lots of sexual innuendos.
We had this thing, we were bisexual, satanic drug addicts, and we recreated that hype.
He had this whole elaborate stage show set up.
It was almost like cabaret. It just got so theatrical that you forgot about the music.
All of a sudden, I got it. It was vaudeville. It was sort of like Alice Cooper brought into the early 90s.
I think the vision was pretty complete from the start. He wanted to provoke people into thinking, challenge the ideas of what a rock star was, challenge sexual ideas, religious ideas.
If it repulsed you, that was just as good as if it made you happy. It was just a lot of trial and error, and I think he finally just hit on the things that really touched people off.
He just wanted people to react, whether they reacted positively or negatively, as long as they had a reaction.
Welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. Motherfucker!
I'm Zach Long, and welcome back to the Launchpad Podcast. On today's episode, I will be touching on the first era of the band Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. Now, if you are a longtime fan of the band, you will likely recognize the initial moniker of the band's name, before the abbreviation to simply Marilyn Manson occurred. New fans, however, may not be aware of this incarnation of the band, so this video will explore my analysis and viewpoint on this initial startup era of the band's history. As someone who has a huge appreciation of this early stuff, I wanted to shine a light on some of the pre-1994 original Spooky Kid era songs. Keep in mind, there are a ton of these early recordings on numerous lo-fi Marilyn Manson demo tapes. Only one official release exists, the 2004 Lunchboxes and Chocolate Cow, released by Daisy Burkowitz after he won the rights to the songs in a lawsuit. But my focus on this is going to be on what I personally consider the highlights from the entire pile of songs. This will not only be fun to get into, but I think it can help a few people find some hidden Marilyn Manson gems that they did not know about before. So that will be awesome too. Lots of Marilyn Manson listeners usually refer to his career arc in eras, each album representing a certain look, musical style, or change to represent internal evolution manifested outside, allowing that cycle to serve as a snapshot of something not to be exactly repeated, but to be learned from and expanded upon, freezing it in time for us to enjoy each as an individual piece of work. As a longtime listener of Marilyn Manson, I have always considered the first true era of the band to be not the 1994 Trent Reznor produced album Portrait of an American Family, but these raw, ratty, sometimes surprising, but always interesting underground cuts of the Spooky Kids incarnation of the band. I mean, the band officially began all the way back in 1989, and the Portrait album, once again, was a product of 1994. So for 5 entire years, the band would hash out a bunch of songs that spanned multiple independently produced cassettes. For me, the Spooky Kids era goes perfectly alongside with the Halloween and fall seasons, and each year I find myself listening to some of these cuts along with Portrait of an American Family for some old school Marilyn Manson candy corn flavored Rebellion, and I wanted to create a way to share that Halloween tradition with you all. So I picked my personal top 15 songs of this era, which will serve as a greatest hit style track list for the video. More or less, I arranged them by release date to provide a more historical and educational scope of the band's history versus simply just my own personal rankings of the 1 through 15. But these tracks are absolutely the ones I have saved on my own playlist, and in a strange way consider it to be the non-official debut for the band. Track 1, Son of Man, recorded in 1990. Now this song is a cover of the Black Sabbath song Iron Man. Marilyn Manson has had some of his biggest hits come via the cover song, and to hear a very early Marilyn Manson band performing one of his first covers is always a fun ride. The biggest thing that sticks out for me though is, although musically it's a cover, they did shake it up and take some liberties to make it their own. The best example of this is Marilyn Manson rewriting the lyrics to make something brand new out of the song while still leaving it heavily inspired by the Black Sabbath classic. Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne, by the way. Maybe one day I'll do some Black Sabbath videos. So instead of Iron Man, the song is penned as a reimagining following the Son of Sam killer who terrorized New York City in the late 1970s. The real-life Son of Sam blamed his murderous rampage on being telepathically told to kill from his neighbor's dog, Harvey. He claimed that the dog was a vessel for an ancient demonic entity named Sam, which ordered people to kill. Real name David Burkowitz gave this narrative upon his arrest, claiming it was essential to his public letters and initial confessions, where he described receiving commands through the dog's barks and growls. The connection was intensified by Burkowitz when he shot Harvey the dog, wounding it, which he later claimed was due to the dog's disruptive barking that exasperated his fragile mental state. During what the New York newspapers dubbed the Summer of Sam, women would dye their hair color, hoping it would allow them to escape the color David Burkowitz preferred when picking out his next victims. These scenarios are stylishly covered in a fun but imperfect Spike Lee film called The Summer of Sam. David Burkowitz, convicted of 6 kills during his crime spree in New York City between December 24th, 1975 and July 31st, 1977. He also wounded 11 others in a series of attacks, mostly targeting young couples in parked vehicles. David Burkowitz initially confessed to all the murders, but he later claimed that he was part of a satanic cult and that he personally only killed 3 of the 6 victims. He firmly began attributing the others to fellow cult members. Despite David's claims, he remains legally responsible for 6 murders, for which he was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms. Considering the freshly minted Marilyn Manson dichotomy, which functioned for the namesake of all members at the time, I think the song idea and execution was a perfect launch pad to get their feet wet as startup musicians. Musically, the song sounds surprisingly tight for such a young group at the dawn of their journey, but the clever use of shrill distortion with Daisy Burkowitz's guitar work makes it a very heavy psychedelic rock juxtaposed with Manson's distinct voice and word play. I think this one really sets a high bar for what we would find in later year covers from the band, such as Sweet Dreams and I Put a Spell on You. Leading us to track 2, IVTV, recorded in 1990. You may notice lyrics in this song that would morph and turn into lines used on the 1994 track Wrapped in Plastic. Now digging into the lyrics a little bit, children removed from chores, wives handcrafted into whores. The old structures are inverted, innocence forced into corruption, duty is turning into degradation. IVTV suggests that TV isn't just a passive consumption, it's being injected, therefore internal. It becomes a part of your bloodstream, your entire being. Faces cracked, minds eaten by society's snake. All alludes to identity being fractured by social pressures, conformity, and propaganda. After all, the snake is a symbol of insidiousness and deception. We also see themes of violence and denial. These actions strip away sight, and denial kills. People are living in a form of self-destruction while thinking they are righteous. It's a twisted trap indeed. IVTV is Manson's early manifesto against media, identity, and social programming. He is saying, if you think you control your life, you don't. The TV does. The system writes your name and then decides when to erase it. Look at the contrast. Chores, housewives, TV, violence, the personal side, the family side, the public, all melded into one crucible. Lyrically, the song does not promise hope, it proclaims collapse. Now, musically speaking, Gidget Gein's bass lines really shine for me on this track, and the cracked, distorted guitar playing again from Daisy shows that early on he and Gidget led the pack in the band in terms of musical know-how. IVTV is a really fun peek into the potential of the band. They have some really good ideas here despite only being in their genesis period, and it's a great listen to someone like me who loves hearing pieces of music from the full arc of a band's history. And that takes us to track 3, Junk the Magic Dragon, recorded in 1990. Lyrics like Mellow Yellow Acid Kiss paint a psychedelic experience mixed with something mellow. The kiss to me suggests a hoped-for intimacy with the drug. Warhol painted Kaleidotrips, references Andy Warhol, who was a championed artist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Warhol's pop art was colorful, hallucinatory, and had a lingering humor to it. The Kaleidotrips suggest kaleidoscopic visions caused by drug-induced hallucinations. The use of lyrical repetition in spinning, spinning, spin again shows a cyclical dizziness, a sense of being locked in a addiction-style repetition, or perhaps a mental spiral caused by using junk or other drugs that can offset you from your center. Put together, the imagery suggests indulgence in psychoactive substances, acid, hallucinogens, and the initial seduction they possess. Pulled tight skin and canvas pulls are imagery of physical tension, constriction, and the body under pain. This is followed by a twisted grin, the merging of a facade and decay. The smile may hide the pain, but the stakes are high, dancing with mortal danger. This lyrical stanza suggests a trap of addiction. You can pay a small amount, or metaphorically a small price, for a ride, which is the trip or the high. The fractional cost belies the high stakes of consequences. In lyrics such as brain like eggs cracked and fried conjures an image of self-destruction, the brain resembling fragile eggshells that have been cracked and broken and fried by drug use. It's a visceral image of collateral damage for bad drug choices. The lyric, "My soul's like Jesus crucified," introduces a Christian metaphor, the soul tortured, sacrificed, and nailed down. It links suffering, martyrdom, religious imagery to addiction and internal torment. These lines deepen the interplay between bodily suffering, spiritual anguish, and self-destruction. The title itself is a play on Puff the Magic Dragon, a nostalgic children's song about innocence and loss. By replacing Puff with junk, Manson implicitly subverts the innocence and replaces it with something darker. Junk referring to hard drugs, addiction, or decay. The magic dragon becomes not a mythical creature, but a symbolic force inside the self, of addiction, pain, loss, and desire for escape. And looking at additional lyrics like love will always end, it ends in pain, ties together addiction and love. Love, another powerful emotional force, viewed as inevitably painful, unstable, and ending in suffering. There's a parallel drawn here. Both the love and the drugs are alluring, but lead to only pain, loss, and emptiness. Thus, the chorus establishes addiction as its own internal monster, and its view of the emotional high of love is structurally bound to pain and an endless cycle of suffering. All in all, it's quite heavy subject matter to juxtapose against a children's cartoon and song, but that was the name of the game in this early era of Manson. Taking American iconography that targeted young kids such as Willy Wonka, Puff the Magic Dragon, and cartoon lunchboxes, and then spinning it. It's a playful yet powerful fusing of adult themes into something that are usually reserved for children, and in this incarnation of the band, it really does bode well, creating a very interesting listen both musically and lyrically. I mean, just take a listen to this wild-ass guitar part from Daisy Burkowitz here. Like, was that not badass or what? That's why when people are so quick to dismiss these earlier tracks, I can't jump up quick enough to say, hold the damn phone. I mean, as you can see, there are some really hidden gems within these tracks. So let's continue on to track 4, called Learning to Swim, released in 1991. This song was allegedly inspired by a message left on the band's answering machine by a fan, and he was asking for some sort of life advice. And I personally take this song in general as an overall outlook of that situation. And looking at it through that lens, there's a strong sense of yearning for transformation or escape, wanting to become something else, something foreign, and in this case, personified within the lyrics, a fish. The lyrics express a sort of envy towards something that flows so effortlessly like a fish does in water, something that's unburdened by any human constraints. The lyrics paint imagery that is somewhat dark, cutting gills, allowing water to flow in, and in turn losing the familiar life you have known.
too young to live this life.
The repetition of "I'm too young to live this life" suggests feeling overwhelmed by life's burdens or early expectations, a life coming on too heavy much too quickly. There is external pressure to remain in one's current role or identity. The lyrical point of view lies with a refusal to fake it, perhaps in a urging not to conform or pretend to standards outside yourself. Musically speaking, the guitar work of Daisy is once again on full display and always gets me immediately taken in to the spirit of this one. Learning to Swim has a very high replay value for me, and it's really a gem in my eyes. Leading us to track 5, -3, released in 1991. -3 explores themes of power dynamics, control, and self-destructive tendencies within a relationship, dealing in the complexities and attraction to darkness within intimate relationships. The initial onset of lyrics paint an image in my mind of someone trying to do a spell or curse of some sort, gathering some loose teeth, a touch of blood splatter, and a photo image to chant over, in hopes of getting someone's attention or curbing someone's behavior via supernatural help. The lyrics suggest a sense of imbalance where the narrator here, or Manson himself if you want to view it that way, feels that the relationship is driven more by their own negativity than by their partner's contributions, as indicated by lines like, "It's 1 part you and 3 parts me." This is one of my top 3 personal favorites of the Spooky Kids era that were left completely out of the Portrait of an American Family debut songs. I just love how spacey and chaotic it is, with that psychedelic garage rock feel. Some of the guitar lines have an almost carnival twist flavor, and it helps harness that imagery of the young, lunchbox-carrying, serial killer-obsessed freaks that the band were at this point in time. Leading us to track 6, Chocolate Factory, released in 1991. Chocolate Factory is the third track on the 1991 release After School Special. The song was written about American serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, who used to work at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory. A photo of Dahmer is also used on the cover of After School Special as well. True to the Marilyn Manson band name formula at the time, another track inspired by a serial killer should not come as much of a surprise. Jeffrey Dahmer for decades has been one of America's most talk-shown boogeymen, a demented cannibal who tried his hand at inventing sex zombies. Tabloids and true crime novels can't seem to get enough. Which is why it's a little shocking to me that none of the band members in any iteration of Marilyn Manson ever used the last name Dahmer as a part of their sex symbol serial killer monikers. Chocolate Factory was considered for inclusion on Portrait of an American Family, and in my view, it's a damn shame it was not. The fusion of Willy Wonka lines and vibes being sampled and played over a song about that creep Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't get why they didn't think it could have been good enough to be included. Oh well, But regardless, I think this track in particular is one of the most underrated songs of the entire Spooky Kids era. Leading us to track 7, Forest Head. The term forest head is striking as it personifies the head, painting the mind as a forest, full of dense trees blocking the openness, shadows within, multiple pathways, and potential loss of direction or confusion. This creates a scenario of a busy, restless, and sometimes negative-minded thought pattern. This restless mind is testing his lady or love interest, leading to an internal chaos that could start impacting the relationship. Asking why shows a focus on both why is he testing her and also why is his mind like this, consumed with this baggage of the forest. The lyric of being a climber can mean a struggle upward or a desire for escape to rise above the chaos of the mind. Take pieces day by day, a dream I can't retake. These words show that Manson's psyche or life experience is gradually eroded bit by bit, drawing on lost potential, regrets, and the impossibility of going backwards. A look into the mirror of fragmentation and loss. Here, there's a sort of positive turning. The music's won, suggests his artistic expression has come out with the victory. The mental turmoil is subdued, surrendered to music, or maybe even transformed by it. Music ultimately overcomes the forest head. providing a saving grace to a troubled mind. Putting all this together, Forest Head can be understood as a portrait of mental struggle and its external consequences. The forest head is a metaphor for a mind overgrown, tangled, dark, not a clear path, but a chaotic maze. But music is the redemptive force. Either he surrenders to the music, or the music overcomes the chaos and overtakes his confused identity. Manson lyrically here is reminding us that internal struggles are rarely solitary. They influence those around you also. There is an internal forest head within us all, and if it leaks outward, it can be testing to our relationships. Given that Forest Head is an early and unreleased track from the Spooky Kids, it has a truly formative quality. It reveals a young Marilyn Manson grappling with his new identity, his emotions of turbulence, and both the promise and the potential peril of a young artistic voice fighting to get out. Leading us to track 8, Thrift. Released in 1992. Our lyrics open with expressing a paradox. I sit here all-knowing, knowing nothing here at all, which claims a kind of tragic self-awareness. It sets a tone of disillusionment and existential uncertainty. The idea of cuts spreading slower suggests that this pain is chronic, and even wounds that are not fresh are still lingering. The imagery of pig hands reaching into sides is grotesque, implying invasion or corrupting the self. Bodies liken themselves to an object, hung up, displayed, used by society for its own purposes. The metaphor is chilling, a body as a hanger, a commodity. Your dollars wet my skin, makes me papier-mâché thrift. Cash is not just a transaction, but a corrosive element seeping into the self. The papier-mâché thrift suggests a fragile nature and patchwork, a self made by external valuation, cheap material, and can be easily damaged. Thrift, in this sense, demonstrates secondhand value, disposability, the cheap imitation of authenticity. The chorus epitomizes a twisted, toxic relationship with suffering. The speaker both resents and craves pain. Pain becomes familiar and conflated with love. The lines alternate between a hatred and a love, suggesting an unstable, codependent bond with whatever external force, be it society, relationships, or power structures, that is inflicting this pain. The lyrics also give a sense of entrapment within a painful cycle, oscillating between hate and love, consumption and exploitation. Downtown to Sell creates imagery of selling oneself in the city. It suggests that economic necessity or social pressures force people to commodify their bodies or even their identities, becoming something else for a master, whether it's a boss of a monetary nature or a sexual nature. It paints imagery of mixing prostitutes with sellouts. I see Thrift as a commentary on alienation along with commodification and the self's disillusion under this type of social pressure. The lyrics point to a painful place, resenting the life they've been given, yet drawn into it, hating society's exploitation, yet internalizing it. And the self processes this pain and turns it into a twisted type of love, a rushing blur of just love and hate, pleasure and pain. And I think equally the lyrics point to how our society demands that people offer themselves, whether it's physically, emotionally, or spiritually, for consumption. How identity gets fractured by external values. How in turn that fault of measuring up breeds a certain type of suffering which becomes seeped in and internalized. And for such a young writer, this song is a prime example of exploring these type of deep topics. Thrift was the only song released as a single from the 2004 Lunchbox and Chocolate Cows CD and DVD combination release that Daisy Burkowitz himself put out after winning a lawsuit against Marilyn Manson. He was awarded the song rights to 21 songs from the Spooky Kids era, and fittingly so, this song showcases some of Daisy's best guitar work he's ever done, hands down. And it's definitely on his Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, alongside the Sweet Dream solo and a few of his other major highlights. And this brings us to track 9, Lucy in the Sky with Demons. Lucy in the Sky with Demons is a track released on the Family Jams cassette back in 1992. The title is a play on the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The capitalization in the Manson's title of LSD is explicitly tied to the drug reference. And you may notice some of the lines in this song were later reworked into other Marilyn Manson songs from Antichrist Superstar, like Angel with the Scabbed Wings and Man That You Fear.
Stick to my ribs, are all your infants in abortion cribs. You run like roaches, you try to die. I know you're poison in our space wheel.
So the first initial line, as you may notice, went on to be reworked into the song Man That You Fear. And it's not about a literal abortion, by the way. It's about a spiritual termination, a lost future, corrupted innocence, the death of purity before it even had a chance to breathe. Manson hijacks Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, a dreamy Beatles LSD-fueled fantasy, and he mutates it here, with Lucy becoming Lucifer. The sky, not full of diamonds, but demons. It's the psychedelic turned psychotic. 1960s utopia turned completely inside out.
Leave yourself to be ultra.
looks beautiful houses predators. Nature is not nurturing, it's deceptive. The flower is corrupted from within. It smiles while it devours. Yet there is ritual here in silent complicity. Everyone is hiding something, and instead of worship, there is mockery. This god depicted lyrically in the song is not sacred. It is a reflection of human filth. We kneel, but not in reverence, but in shame. And the opposing force to this, via the devil line, is a seduction through honesty. Manson becomes the devil, but only if you are brave enough to confess your darkness. It's not a possession, it's a mutual exposure, a mirror held up to the soul, demanding you look deep within. And most of all, it is a cautionary tale that the things we worship, the selves we build, the innocence we cling to, they rot. See, this is very Halloween-y lyric-wise. So cheers as we tis the season. Lyrics of fall chill, spider, scarecrows, and it just helps build that spooky season vibe for me year in and year out. Track 10, Let Your Ego Die.
Clock is a ring on a finger that your chick swishes out of time. Cigarettes a spike in the spur of the moment, digging in her.
Time has become jewelry, a binding burden. All measurements of value are broken. Some of the other lyrics factor in the idea of creation as self-harm. The art is her wound. The facade of white sheets is stained with recklessness, shame, and memory. There is no purity left. She's been hollowed out like a jack-o'-lantern. Ego is the last corpse to shed. It's a catharsis and execution mixed into one. Overall, cornerstones of the song include topics of toxic identity and how ego can function as a mask. An ugly lie not worth defending. Here, Manson encourages us to kill it. Next, you can point to the subject of indulgence leading to scars and potentially harsh outcomes. This could also be connected to the idea of drugs, art, love, or anything that you can hurt for. Finally, the lyrics unveil a stance of ego death as liberation, surrendering in a way to clean the slate to begin something new. Bringing us to track 11.
If I had time to kill the world, I'd try. Oh no, don't have time to feel the suicide because the snowman lives in spring. The savages will not be coming back in the summer.
So my take on this lyrical point of view is that destruction is not rejected, but redirected in the fashion of a war against the self, where his outside world dies only after he does inside. And the metaphor of the snowman is great because they are doomed by design. There's no way to save a snowman, as sooner or later nature's going to smite it out when the weather inevitably changes to being warmer temperatures again. And Marilyn Manson uses this idea as a mirror of mortality, where everything eventually dissolves in time. He also tags in a clever line about people running from summer, which, if you put yourself in the shoes of the snowman and how it's used here, that could mean that people in your life run away in times of heat or trouble, showcasing even family, friendships, or relationships can be susceptible to the same fate as the snowman. In a twist to the typical snowman trappings, Marilyn Manson shifts to finding a peace or freedom in this force of change. Suddenly, with a shift of perspective, he can go from lamenting his circumstances to embracing them and using them to his advantage, finding a release within it.
If I had signed it to the world, I'd try. What I'm really saying. Till it's time for me. Well, I don't have time to even say goodbye. We are dying as winter
When facades melt, only realism stands bare. In that bareness, maybe not self-destruction, but self-realization, and therefore freedom for the snowman. A couple notes about this song. Well, for starters, this track has somewhat of an underground notoriety among the Marilyn Manson fanbase, as being widely regarded as one, if not the strongest, of the Spooky Kids era material that did not make it to an official release. You can tell that Side Snowman has resurfaced many times throughout the band's history, including on the 1992 cassette Live as Hell and the Refrigerator demo released in 1993. And it was also demoed once again in 1996 for the Antichrist Superstar sessions. And I think it's interesting to note the differences between some of the initial versions of the song and the 1996 edition, where, like, for example, on the Refrigerator 1993 version, Daisy Burkowitz is using a super heavy wah-wah pedal, like where it just sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, in a cool way, where it gives a unique flavor to the track and everything, but it's just, listen to 2 seconds of that song and it's unmistakable. And interestingly, in the 1996 demo they did for Antichrist Superstar, Marilyn Manson is actually singing through what seems to be a similar mic effect as Daisy's guitar had back in the original version. Regardless of which edition, I guess to me the true one always felt like the 1993 edition, so that's the one I usually listen to most. But just this track in general, the lyrics, the themes, the vibe of the song, just the whole package to me is definitely among the top of the pile for the Spooky Kid songs. It just has high replay value for me, where I find myself coming back to it at least a few times each year. And this takes us to track 12, Dungeon Master, released in 1993. This song has been known by many names, such as Crippled Groom, Dungeon Master, and one we cannot say on YouTube. This is a song by Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, recorded at a live rehearsal in November of 1993. And this is right around the time when they just strictly dropped the Spooky Kids moniker. But the title itself of Dungeon Master frames a dynamic of control and confinement, where the dungeon functions as a metaphor for the psyche, and the master is who holds the chain. But as the song progresses, we see the self as prison and ruler, both captive and jailer. Dungeon Master is not external, it's internal. The part of you that dominates your fears, your idols, your shames. The part that causes war within the mind. And here Manson points to a psychological standoff, two minds, but one is incomprehensible to the other. His inside world isn't just misunderstood, it's inaccessible, a realization that stops when you get too close to the truth. Even if you can't face yourself, the Dungeon Master can make you feel it. And the lyric, "You gotta turn my head," almost encourages the listener to take control and become the new Dungeon Master, as a means to see what is really in his mind or dungeon. Now, this song was released on Daisy Burkowitz, Scott Patesky's, whatever you want to call him, on his SoundCloud page, also in 2011. 2011 must have just been a year where Daisy was like, fuck it, let's just spam everybody with some old school classic Spooky Kids, because he just randomly uploaded the song on his Facebook page. He also added in a post a challenge for any fan that could transcribe the lyrics would get some signed guitar picks in exchange. I guess as the rightful owner to most of these songs, Daisy did all the fans a great service by putting them out regardless if it was ever on an official release or not, so I really commend him for that. And this brings us to Lucky 13 Insect Pins, recorded in 1993. Here, squirming equates to resistance or being stuck. Warm spit feels disgusting. He's inside the horror he's describing. Repeated like a taunt, you want to judge me? Fine. See my blood, see my pain, but don't expect closure. There is no healing. He's a specimen, displayed and dissected. The tear is sorrow ripping him open. The scars might fade, but blood reveals what lies beneath. Notice it's not select, but sect, as in ritual or cult. He wants to be dissected, consumed, made part of a ritual, insect me. He's no longer human, he's an object, like an insect, pinned for viewing. He's forcing his internal self out in the open whether we like it or not. His blood, his scars, his wound, these are a part of his status. These are him. Revisiting pain as an identity is a common lyrical theme in Manson's work, a repetition that signals that this type of hurt does not end. And in this track, by repeating what you're gonna feel, it drags you as a listener into this complicity. You also watch, judge, and bleed too. Insect Pins ended up being in consideration for Portrait of an American Family. A couple of these lines would be then stripped and used on the song Deformography on the 1996 Antichrist Superstar album. And it's just kind of cool to see how some of these songs, even though they didn't maybe reach the entire finish line on an album, that little nuggets are kind of pulled and repurposed. I think that's kind of neat to see how impactful some of these songs were on Manson's work yet to come. Alright, and this brings us to track 14, the last official track, Magic 8-Ball, recorded in 1993. Lyrically, it has me thinking of visions of unreliable oracles. After all, what is the Magic 8-Ball if not a toy oracle? We all want answers, but most of the time all we get is ambiguity and maybes. Better not tell you, maybe next time, is refusal in disguise. It teases some sort of a revelation, but then withholds it. And here in these lyrics, it seems like a fatalism is meeting laziness. You know, pick my future, I'm too lazy. Where it's not so much a desire to choose, but surrender. Let fate decide for you and kind of resign you from this pressure of doing it yourself. But in this resignation, it's trying to pose it as cool, with a vision blurred chemically, emotionally, and spiritually. He's not chasing a purpose. It seems he's actually dodging it. Letting fate pick for you isn't necessarily a surrender, but it is a passive nihilism. It's like saying, I'd rather rot than make a choice. And if you look at the line, always got the science fiction mentality, it's as if Manson sees the world through an alien lens, or maybe he just refuses to accept it as reality. Sci-fi isn't escapism here, it's a coping mechanism. Sci-fi isn't the escapism here, it's a coping mechanism. Reality is too dull, too painful, too human. Television, tech, media, babbling garbage, white noise dressed up as insight. Static gobble sounds like a psychotic input, machines feeding false signals or something, like you are drowning in fake voices pretending to matter. And then there's additional lyrics about comparing need and greed, and when you need, you become vulnerable, and that creates some sort of a weakness, and then an exploitation of that weakness can follow. And the word degrilled implies being stripped, burned, or exposed, like greed with the skin peeled off. And then the line, death on the floor, pointing down at our feet. Death isn't hovering, it's here underneath us, reminding us that we're next. The world walks on top of it like it's not real, but it is the foundation of being. Everything dies. Return to maybe next time. It's like a 8-ball taunt. Its meanings deferred again and again. Every time you get a maybe, it's like a slap in the face of certainty. Promise never to be delivered. And this verse is Manson's rejection of clarity, responsibility, or control. He's choking on static, he's bored of the apocalypse, as if to say all signs point to hell and I'm fine with it. Look at me, lie to me. It's a demand for attention. It's a want to be seen but not understood. There's power in being witnessed as a monster. It's a whiplash. He wants the gaze of the magic 8-ball but not the harsh reality that comes with it. He finds a lie more comforting. The illusion keeps the mirror intact. Lyric showcasing a want for validation but not revelation. It's like the ultimate duality in one breath. We crave being seen, but fear being known, and we beg for honesty, but yet we turn around and punish the messenger. The line, you make it all so clear, it sounds like praise, but I kind of take it as sarcasm dipped in resentment. It's the clarity that hurts, the kind you did not ask for in this situation. Clarity that strips away your illusions, the kind that shows you you are not special, not saved, not in control. Outlook is not so good, what I want to hear. Is a direct quote from the Magic 8-Ball, Outlook not so good. Because yes, it's a fake oracle, but it hits like real prophecy here. Manson uses this as a punchline and diagnosis. This is the gut punch. It closes the loop of irony. He knows the answer is going to be bad, and maybe he even wants it to be bad, because negativity confirms his internal narrative of being broken, hopeless, and therefore he's right. It's learned hopelessness turned into some sort of identity. Here within these lyrics, Manson is not in things that find its way on Portrait. You can kind of see that internal battle of who you used to be versus who you want to be, and while that fusion starts happening, how it kind of creates a war in your life sometimes. It's just an interesting theme or motif that he keeps just coming back to. And to me, it's like Magic 8-Ball is saying, amongst other things, that sometimes no choice being made is the most harmful choice. But there's a weird comfort in not choosing. I think that sometimes is a very common narrative or place he writes from. That type of a feeling of an early 20s Manson trying to create this big rock and roll monster and become this villain that he dreamed about since high school. And this song also was considered for inclusion on Portrait of an American Family, but of course I'm talking about it on this video and not that one, so you can tell it did not make the cut. Now, that concludes the playlist that I put together of the Spooky Kids era of Manson. But of course, in the comments, please make a case for tracks I did not include. Tell me why you like some of these ones, what you don't like about some of these ones, and let's just have a little discussion in the comments. It could be cool and fun. I did want to include a little extra piece of footage of Daisy Burkowitz playing live around this time of era, like right around this time, and also maybe even brushing up a touch to Portrait of just how on fire this dude was. He started the band with Marilyn Manson, and a lot of casual fans may not even remember him. I guess casual fans that only know a few songs of Manson here and there aren't maybe even familiar with him. But I mean, the guy, especially early on, was just such a huge crutch, important part of the band, and I always want to give him a shout out. I mean, my fucking YouTube intro is a sample of the Daisy Burkowitz song after he left Manson. I've always gave Daisy his props because to me, he was really talented. What got him kicked out of the band, I mean, it's debatable. There's things written in Manson's book about what happened, and there was some personality conflicts for sure, and Manson felt that he wasn't, especially in interviews and things like that, representing the band well enough. And it's funny because it's like he was the absolute opposite of Manson, where Manson was the good speaker but maybe couldn't play as well, and they just had that counterbalance which created this monster of Marilyn Manson. But sadly, he was only on really 2 records, well 3 if you count some of this early stuff, so he wasn't long for the band, and sadly he passed away a few years ago, and recently just had the anniversary of his passing. So I just want to say I think he deserves a little more credit for the startup of the band. I would just like to kind of pay a quick little tribute of showing a few snippets here of him playing live and just showcasing the dynamic he brought.
6 months after our very first show, we started packing clubs.
We started getting bigger locally, so we had to find a manager.
Early in 1990, when we first started playing out, John Tovar saw our very first show.
I remember walking in there, and after seeing 2 songs, I really couldn't stand them, so I walked out. 6 months later, my friend Glenn Richards told me that Manson was the most requested act on his show every Sunday. You should manage these guys, they're gonna go somewhere. So I went, I showed up to the place, it was like midnight, and there were 300 kids screaming, looking like him, like Manson. He had the aura of a rock star. To me, he was Morrison, Iggy, Bowie, and of course, Alice Cooper rolled into one. I realized, I said, you know, if this guy can draw this amount of people with no record deal, this guy's gonna be a superstar.
John Tovar and his partner Frank Laurie decided to sign us to their management company.
You know, I told him I like what you're doing and I think it's cool. I only have one small problem with what you're doing. You need to drum it really bad because that drum machine is not happening. I think that was the first time that Manson listened to me. He went out and got himself a drummer.
I mean, it just brought a whole new dimension to the band. I mean, it just brought it alive.
He had some very good guidance from John Tovar and some other people, but I think he just took in everything. He absorbed everything that was going on around and sort of shot that back at us 10 times more obnoxious.
I think he wanted to see how far he could go.
Manson had a mission. He wanted to get out of South Florida.
He's like, I'm going all the way. I mean, there was no way to stop him.
He knew he was going to be a rock star. There was no question, no doubt about it.
Welcome to Tracks. I'm Kathy Lucas, and this is the night you've all been waiting for. They are here live. They're going to answer any questions you have tonight. I am very, very pleased to welcome Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. Guys, thanks a lot for being on the show tonight.
Hey, good to be here.
You're playing the Ritz Theater later on this evening. What, you going about 12:30?
Yeah, something like that. We're the last band.
I have no idea where to begin, but I'll tell you, I was talking to a few people about you guys this afternoon, and I said, are you ever driving down the road and you see an accident, and your mind is going, don't look. You end up looking anyways. You leave the accident, and you're going, why did I do that?
Because it ran
Actually, I keep a Polaroid, and I always take pictures of accidents.
Okay,
I don't know if that applies.
That probably doesn't surprise me, but not to compare you guys to an accident, but you tend to appeal to our morbid curiosity. Do you aim for that?
Well, we're just. I think people are going to see what they want to see in us, and it's usually the stuff that they're normally afraid to think about. But we show it to them, and then they realize, oh yeah, I do think about that. And I guess that's what the appeal is. I don't know otherwise.
What inspires you to write some of your songs? What do you think about and go, Do you pick up the paper and say, geez, look at what's going on in the news today, I'm going to write about that, or...
No, I think everything that I've written has been from my childhood. I guess I've been writing these songs all my life.
And then you're just putting it to music.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that a lot of our songs now are poems that I had in high school that I just had to switch around.
I wonder what your high school teacher thought, reading some of these poems.
I don't know, I got good grades. That was the only class I got good grades in, was creative writing. I got C's and D's and everything else.
I'll bet. We've already got a full call board. People are calling in, but I want you to talk about the names, because you have some very interesting names. For example, Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Monroe, Charles Manson. Tell us a little bit about the band members and how you came up with the names.
It really started off with the Marilyn Manson. When I was thinking of, one day I was just, we used to watch Current Affair all the time, and we'd see all this stuff about serial killers, and then the next minute you'd see stuff about James Mansfield or Marilyn Monroe. And I just thought it was really interesting that they were both the most memorable characters from the 60s for two completely different reasons, but they were equally as glamorous and as frightening. They both just had they just seemed to go together for me, and I thought that represented everything that I want to. That's what I want to say, is just the dichotomy of good and evil and beauty and the beast and male and female. That really encompasses it all. And so when we started the band, everybody sort of took the same route when picking their names.
Favorite serial killers? How did you come up with some of these?
Well, I'm Daisy Burkowitz, and Daisy comes from one of several things, either Daisy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard, or the Daisy BB gun collection, or Daisy from Great Gatsby, and there's David Burkowitz, son of Sam Killer.
I wonder why nobody chose Bundy,
There was Bundy.
Was there?
We kicked him out of the band. He was a little too heavy for us. Not in the bass playing category.
And he is?
Sarah Lee Lucas, after famous cake creator, Sarah Lee, and cereal cream puff, and serial killer Henry Lee Lucas.
That's pretty interesting. Sarah Lee, of all, people to choose.
Well, Henry Lee, Sarah Lee, they kind of fit together.
It's pretty neat.
Concept.
Real creative.
Gidget Guine, Gidget, she's the coolest teeny popper. And Guine from Ed Guine.
Scott David here, speaking with Marilyn Manson, front person for Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. How you doing, Marilyn?
Hey man, I'm spooky as always, brand new. How about you?
Hey, doing pretty good. How did Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids originate?
Well, Scott David, the idea of Marilyn Manson has been brewing in my head, one form or another, since I was about 12 years old at a Christian high school in Canton, Ohio. But then, I moved and grew up and changed my shoe size and stuff. And then I met this guy named Daisy Burkowitz, who's kind of ripping on the guitar. And, we had two different, styles, two different tastes of music. He liked more ethereal, kind of surreal soundscapes of guitar noise, and I was more into more distinct, hard, definitive, sounds and whatnot. But we both had the same ideas as far as art-wise, what we wanted to do with the band. So we got together, we made this music, and it's just what we wanted. And as far as the rest of the band, they were friends of mine, Olivia Newton-Bundy and Josh Esbeck, and they were interested in what we were doing, so we brought them in. And that's how it happened.
How did the name Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids come about?
Well, that's kind of obvious, because Marilyn Manson is on my birth certificate and all. But as far as Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, this is the illegitimate offspring of the world's most infamous, nefarious, and in our eyes, brilliant cult psycho weirdo wackos in the world. Specifically America, of course, because we're an American band.
Well, personally, you don't really look like a Marilyn, but I guess if your mother named you that, what can I say?
Hey,
How would you describe your music?
Well, people hate to describe their music. What we've come to call it is beat up your mom music. As far as describing what it sounds like, I guess you have to listen. I think it's pretty much like 60s meets 90s, psychedelic, industrial, brain tumor disorder, thrash sort of thing. It's kind of groovy, It's groovy. I guess the word groovy will work.
Well, I guess that's pretty specific. Is there a concept or a message you're trying to convey in your music?
Well, Scott David, as far as the concept goes, there's a definite concept, but, stuff like that, I put out a lot of ideas in the lyrics and in the way we do our things. There's a lot of ideas floating around, and people who know what it is, people will pick it up if they know what to pick up. As far as coming right out and saying anything, I don't think that I could, especially on this radio station.
Well, thank you for that.
Sorry.
How do you approach writing new material?
Well, I've got a lot of words going around in my head. It's like chewed up a dictionary and kind of puked it over my brain kind of thing. And, Daisy over here is, pretty much the same way with this music. So we get together with the guitar, and it's kind of tribal with the percussion, and we just work with it. It's really tribal.
Sounds
We're a
like
tribe.
Sounds like an encyclopedia of insanity.
Yeah, that's kind of cute, Scott.
Anyway, what artists were influential to you in the past?
When I was growing up, I don't know, I can't say that I ever grew up. I'm kind of like an evil little Peter Pan that will never get older. But as far as bands that I listen to, I like Inagata-Davida, Black Sabbath, and Jim Morrison was my, he's one of my all-time idols. And, a couple years ago when I got Papa Manson, that's Chuck, his album, it was a great influence on me. Very innovative dude, and I hate that word dude, but I'll say it again. Innovative dude, and he influenced what we're doing right now to a certain extent.
And a #1 best-selling album, may I add.
Yeah, all the time, Manson. He's on Billboard still.
You have a song called Strange Same Dogma. What is that about?
Well, in general, that song really is dealing with prejudice and ignorance in certain people that are in authority positions. Specifically, it's aimed towards the PMRC and, that whole scenario. I mean, we're not the first person to sing about this, and we're not trying to jump on a bandwagon. I just want people to know how we feel about Tipper Gore, and I think that she's speaking her mind when she shouldn't.
Marilyn, there's all this reference going on that people actually have accused you of being insane. How do you react to that?
Yeah, definitely. People want to know why, if we're insane. I don't know, to quote Papa Chuck himself, the world of madness is a lot bigger than the world of sane, Sanity's this little shoebox you can run around in, Insanity's the universe,
So what does the future hold for Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids?
Well, man, we want to, be brand new, what we're trying to do, and we want to affect as many people as we can with our music. We want to make changes in this town. We want to develop our cult, make it stronger. We got the Spooky Kids hotline. We got people calling in all the time, mass amounts of people, wackos, crazies. I love them all, and I want to thank them all. And, we're just going to move something is what we're going to do.
Brian and Brad were on Hanging with MTV.
We were guests in the audience. We weren't popular then. We just wanted to go because Brian had a crush on one of the hosts.
I'm Gail Miron, and if you're just joining us, you couldn't have picked a better time.
It was funny because we would dance for the songs. Two crazy, skinny white boys that can't dance. And they got the camera on us the whole time. For some reason, they zeroed in on us. And they come up to us. They're like, oh, where are you guys from?
You in New York for a while? Yeah, we're here for 3 days. We're in a band, and we're doing a showcase tomorrow. So we're going to be hanging out.
From Miami, you say?
Yeah, we're from Miami. Band's Marilyn Manson.
And he's like, oh, I came here to see, the host, but I'm upset because she's not here today.
We wanted Gail. I came here to marry her. She's not here. I'm sad.
What can I say? I hate to disappoint you, man, but
I have this picture of her that I
very cool. Now, you took this picture off the television?
Yeah.
That's very cool. Now, and of course, she's here with us in spirit.
Such a nerd, little kid with a crush. We were just like fans, and we wanted to be on MTV.
Marilyn Manson's struggle to get signed is almost a textbook case of what a local band will go through to get signed.
We talked to everyone from independent labels all the way up to Epic, Interscope, American Recording, Maverick, RCA.
Almost every record label you can think of would come to see us play, and everybody hated us. Nobody wanted to sign us.
People were scared that it might have been too hard to promote him. Everybody would be like, oh, well, he's too satanic, he's too into drugs.
A lot of record labels got distracted by the theatrics.
We auditioned for Sony, and we went up to New York for a private showcase.
And the A&R guy comes up to us afterwards and said, they really like the band, but they don't like Brian. They think he's too pretentious and phony, so we're going to pass.
When the deal didn't go through with Sony, it was around the same time that Trent Reznor was starting his own record label.
I got a phone call from Manson, and he told me Interscope is going to give Trent his own label called Nothing Records, and Trent wants us to be the first signee on the label.
Trent decided to sign Brian because he knew he could break that band and make it succeed.
Marilyn Manson's early gigs attracted the attention of Trent Reznor, lead singer of the American band 9 Inch Nails. Trent signed them to his recently formed record label and helped them produce their debut album.
When I met Trent, he was the first person that really identified with what I was doing and wanted to make it happen. So he stood behind me artistically, and he brought what I was doing to the mainstream.
It was fun to work on music you cared about and you liked with a friend that was up for the challenge and was up for trying each other, and we really kind of pushed each other to see how far we could take things.
We were very happy to be signed, but I could just start to smell politics happening.
When we started to deal with the big boys and the labels, they felt that the name was too long.
It went from the band that Brian and I put together, which was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, to just Marilyn Manson.
It's the last Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids show, because we're changing our name officially to Marilyn Manson.
By dropping the Spooky Kids, then it was Marilyn the persona and Marilyn the band.
That's when, in his head, it became his band.
Trent flew us out to LA.
He rented the Sharon Tate house to put a studio in, and that's where he wanted to put his record together.
Here we are, Marilyn Manson, and we're recording where, the Manson family killed some people. Yeah, it was a good vibe going on in there.
The album's done, and Brian showed up and said, Interscope's going to drop us if we don't change this, that, and the other thing.
Some lyrics that Charles Manson wrote were incorporated in the song.
They didn't want my monkeying on the album because of the ties to Charles Manson.
I could never really see what the problem was. It was all a goof, you know, it was all tongue-in-cheek.
I know it upset Brian a lot. He was pretty adamant that he was going to find another distributor if he had to.
Thankfully, Trent Reznor really stuck his neck out for us and basically told him, well, you drop Marilyn Manson, you drop 9 Inch Nails.
Interscope gave in. I guess they saw something in the band, they didn't want to let it go.
He was going on the road, so he asked me, would you take care of this for me? You know, we're getting some fan letters. I figured just a couple hundred a month, but it turned out to be a couple of hundred letters every other day. Brian took the fan club seriously because he knew that was going to be his army.
It seemed like it became kind of like a cult thing.
He loved it. His reaction to it was great, it's working. I have these people that, you know, want a part of me.
I was 5 when I first met him. He was rehearsing right next to my dad's studio. He asked me to be in the Lunchbox video.
He's speaking as a child. You know, someday I want to grow up and be a big rock star so no one with me.
I thought it was pretty cool how he was different, and that's how I wanted to be.
He brings something to the misfit kids, and he makes it okay for them to show their own look on life.
I saw Real Devotion on the road. I saw 2 young girls with Marilyn carved in their chest with a razor blade on one and Manson in the others with blood dripping off of them.
There would be underage girls sending in nude pictures of themselves saying that they wanted to marry him, that they wanted him to take their virginity, that they wanted to kill their family and join his.
Marilyn Manson's fans started just trying to emulate what he was, so the originality factor went out the window. It was no longer be yourself, it was be Marilyn Manson.
When we started getting really weird and creepy fan responses, my first thoughts were maybe we should do something, but then I quickly realized that you're not a therapist, you're a rock band. You can't get that close.
Manson generally cares for his fans.
A lot of people have a very, very wrong image of what this guy is about.
Look at me, because I'm going to punch you in the teeth.
He is very gentle and very kind to people.
Now, Brian was smart. He realized at that time that he is Marilyn Manson and Brian Warner. He could separate the two. He didn't have to be Marilyn Manson 24 hours a day like I was doing. I did all the drugs, slept with, you know, whatever, men, women, animals. I was living the image, you know, I was Gidget Geen.
Brad overdosed one night after a show, and Brian called me like 8 o'clock in the morning, upset that his friend might die.
Brian talks me into going to rehab. He's on the verge of tears. I'm feeling really bad, you know, that I let this guy down. I get a FedEx 2 days later. It's a letter from the lawyers and managers. Basically, I got fired on Christmas Eve in rehab.
You either pull your weight or you'll be left behind. And unfortunately, didn't live up to Manson's expectations.
When Brian had to finally kick Brad out of the band, it was very difficult for him because he really did care about him a lot.
You know, I still love the guy, and it hurts to know that I did that when they, depended on me.
You guys, man. I think my foot's definitely broken. I'm gonna sue. So let me ask you guys a question. A lot of you people come up to me and say, hey, did you guys get signed yet? What's going on? Are you ever getting out of here? Well, I'll tell you what's up. What would you guys say if people told you, I don't really like the way you guys dress, but you're really cool, but I don't really like the words to that song, but it's really cool, and I really just don't like that guitar solo. But we want to give you a record deal. What would you guys say? Fuck you, that's right. So until they come along and they understand, like you guys do, it's a big fuck you. Can I hear it? This is for you guys. would love to stay here and play longer, but I gotta go to the hospital. My foot's definitely broken. Sorry. But I bet you guys are saying, is it the last Marilyn Manson show? Well, I'll tell you what's up. It's the last Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kid show. Because we're changing our name officially to Marilyn Manson. Because it just takes more than one person to be you, to be me. So we all became one, and now it's all in the same thing. You dig what I'm saying?
Okay, final thoughts. A part of me wishes that one day Manson will review some of these tracks and redo them in a more updated fashion, similar to what Mike Patton and his band Mr. Bungle did to their original demo tape called Wrath of the Easter Bunny. What they did was they took that original track, and with the current band and current lineup, they just laid down a full new studio version and re-released it. And on that album, it was so heavy and cool, and they just did a great justice to the original ideas within the songs that I would just love to see a Spooky Kids revival in the same vein. I know it's wishful thinking considering that Kidget had passed away, Daisy passed away, Madonna Wayne Gacy's not in the band. I know it's wishful thinking, Manson doesn't repeat eras or anything, but man, a dude can dream, right? So I just want to take a quick second to thank everyone for checking out the video and being patient while waiting for the completion of this video. I've been doing a lot of traveling with no real setup or much time to do these extensive dives or record them or edit them or anything. So I do appreciate your patience because I know it's taken forever for some of these to come out. But I'm glad it worked out for a Halloween treat for everybody. And I truly appreciate all of you for checking out the video. More videos to come, including a couple topics that were commissioned by some of my subscribers. Actually, just like this one was, by the way. So for this video, shout out to Mr. Wrapped in Plastic for his generous donation to the channel and his choice of this topic here of the Spooky Kids era Marilyn Manson. So until next time, stay open-minded and self-realized.